So at this point, our little web app can pretty much do everything except we don't really have a nice way of adding new genres. And rather than coding that in by hand, we are going to use a scaffolding feature that is built in to the entity framework. All different versions have this. And so what we're going to do is right-click on controllers. We're going to go to Add and New Scaffolded Item. We want to generate a controller and views using Entity Framework. This is a huge time saver. So for the model class, we want to generate the controller and views for genre. Typically, you have to click the list and pick the context. We only have one. And then for the views, you want it to generate the views. You do want it to use the libraries, and you want to use the layout page. So all of the checkboxes should be on. The only thing you need to change is the controller name because it is pluralizing, and we do not want that. That is not the convention that we've used. So when I click on Add, that's when the scaffolding takes place, and it's generating the controller, and it's generating 5 different views. And so in the controller, there will be action methods for each of those views. And for quite a few of them, you'll have a get and a post action method. So once it's done, you are going to see your new controller. And it's going to look similar to what we did in the home controller and the movie controller. The methods that it's using are a little bit different. So you can see it is using toList, but it's using a little different version of toList. Okay? It's basically asynchronously creating the list. And passing it along to the index. Then you can kind of see the details is retrieving 1. And then obviously if it can't find it, there's an issue. And if it can find it, then it's using first or default, which we learned about when we talked about the link queries. And it is using the genre ID. And here we've got create, where you're going to get an empty form. Here we've got the post for create, which will display, it'll either add to the genre table or it will display the form with errors. So all of this is stuff that we've used. Okay, it's just that it's kind of the async version. And then if you look down in the views, what you see down in here should also look familiar because we are connecting to the genre class, and we are using a table. Now, what is included here that probably you're not as familiar with, it's called an HTML helper. We'll be learning about those later. But basically, it's looking to the genre class. Let's open that up. And it is using the property for the display name. So that is how it's getting the column headings in the table. And then for all of the rows below that, it's actually grabbing the data. So this is display name 4, where it is grabbing the column name, and here it's actually getting the data from the table. And it's not retrieving ID, it's just retrieving the name property or the name column. Then at the end of each, you're going to have an edit details and delete link. So I'm going to run this so you can see what it looks like live. And we have not added it to layout yet. So we have to come up here. So it's the genre controller, index action method. And you can see, like right out of the box, we have all this functionality. And if you had multiple properties, it would list all of them across. So this is a huge time saver. And if we create a new one, we get an empty form. So this is going to the create view. Okay, and this should look very familiar, okay, because we've been working with these. And so we can add a new one. And you can see it in the sorted list. We want to see the details. We can see that as well. Edit, interestingly enough, does not work properly. And I believe it is because uh, normally we are dealing with an integer and now we have a string. And so if I wanted to change this, it's going to give an error. Oh, it worked. I love it when it makes me a liar. Well, that's awesome. For some reason, mine is working now. So there must have been a glitch in my previous scaffolding. Well, that is awesome. Well, let me edit it again. Now let me change it back. Super. Okay, so everything is working. The delete works as well. And you can kind of take a look at the code here, but basically we have either HTML helpers or for the forms, you're going to have those tag helpers. And we will be learning more about all of this in upcoming weeks. But you can see how incredibly easy this is to create and use. And you really don't have to do all that much customizing.